Did you know that during Donald Trump's presidency, deportation policies changed the lives of thousands of immigrants? From sweeping executive orders to controversial decisions, entire communities felt the impact. But which countries were hit the hardest? Stay tuned to find out. During Donald Trump's tenure, immigration policies underwent significant changes. With the introduction of tighter border controls and stricter deportation guidelines, millions of undocumented immigrants became vulnerable. In this video, we'll explore the top 10 countries most affected by deportations under the Trump administration. Our selection is based on official deportation statistics, the impact on immigrant communities, and the historical relationship between these nations and the United States. Let's dive right in. Country number 10. El Salvador. Over 30,000 Salvadorans were deported during the Trump administration. Many fled gang violence, poverty, and political instability. MS-13 and other gangs have a significant presence in El Salvador. Deportees often return to areas controlled by these violent groups. The Trump administration ended temporary protected status, TPS, for Salvadorans. This decision left over 200,000 Salvadorans vulnerable to deportation. Families were forced to choose between splitting up or returning together. Asylum seekers from El Salvador faced high rejection rates. Deportation flights to El Salvador increased during Trump's term. The country struggled to accommodate thousands of returnees. Stigma and discrimination against deportees were common. Many deportees lacked access to employment or social services. Deportations disrupted Salvadoran communities in the U.S. Children separated from parents experienced long-term trauma. Advocacy groups called for better protections for Salvadoran migrants. Economic conditions in El Salvador remain a significant push factor. The Salvadoran diaspora in the U.S. continues to support relatives back home. Deportees often faced extortion or violence upon return. The U.S. and El Salvador have a complex history of migration. Deportation policies continue to affect Salvadoran families on both sides of the border. Country number 9. China. Chinese nationals were also targeted under stricter immigration policies. Many deportations involved students, workers, and overstayed visas. Chinese immigrants often came for education and economic opportunities. Deportees faced challenges returning to China's competitive job market. U.S.-China tensions added complexity to immigration enforcement. Families were frequently separated due to deportation policies. The Trump administration scrutinized Chinese visa holders more closely. Deportees often struggled with reintegration into Chinese society. Many Chinese immigrants had built successful lives in the U.S. before deportation. Advocacy groups worked to support those affected by immigration policies. Deportations highlighted the impact of geopolitics on migration. Chinese American communities faced increased scrutiny during this period. Education-focused migrants were disproportionately affected by policy changes. Deportation policies created uncertainty for future Chinese immigrants. Many deportees returned to China with limited resources or support. Family separations created long-term emotional and financial challenges. Critics argued that skilled immigrants were unfairly targeted. U.S.-China relations continue to influence migration patterns. Chinese culture remains a vibrant part of American society. Calls for humane and fair immigration reforms persist globally. Country number 8. Venezuelans face deportation despite their country's severe humanitarian crisis. Many fled political persecution, poverty, and violence in Venezuela. Deportees returned to a country struggling with hyperinflation and shortages. Advocacy groups argued that deporting Venezuelans was morally wrong. Deportations disrupted families who had sought safety in the U.S. The Trump administration's policies limited asylum opportunities for Venezuelans. Many Venezuelans were caught in lengthy legal battles over deportation orders. Deportees faced significant reintegration challenges upon return. U.S. immigration policies did not account for Venezuela's ongoing crisis. Venezuelan American communities rallied to support deportees. Human rights organizations criticized deportations as inhumane. The Venezuelan government was often unable to assist returning citizens. Deportations highlighted flaws in the global asylum system. Many deportees attempted to migrate again, despite the risks. Family separations caused emotional and financial hardships. Deportation disrupted educational and career plans for many Venezuelans. The Venezuelan diaspora remains active in advocating for immigration reform. U.S.-Venezuela relations were further complicated by these policies. Deportees often faced dangerous conditions upon their return. Calls for more compassionate immigration policies continue to grow. Country number 7. Nicaraguans faced increasing deportations under Trump's immigration policies. Many Nicaraguans fled to the U.S. due to political unrest and economic instability. Deportees often returned to challenging conditions in Nicaragua. The Trump administration sought to end temporary protected status, TPS, for Nicaraguans. Over 5,000 Nicaraguans were at risk of losing their legal status in the U.S. Deportations disrupted family units, with children often left behind in the U.S. Political persecution in Nicaragua made return dangerous for many deportees. Advocacy groups criticized deportations to a country experiencing ongoing turmoil. Many deportees face stigma and limited opportunities upon return. Nicaragua's government struggled to support the influx of returnees. Deportations highlighted the broader struggles of Central American migrants. Legal options for Nicaraguans to fight deportation were limited. Deportees faced challenges reintegrating into Nicaragua's unstable economy. Family separations caused long-term trauma for deportees and their loved ones. Nicaraguan American communities rallied to support those at risk of deportation. The U.S. immigration system was criticized for its lack of compassion. Deportations further strained U.S.-Nicaragua relations. Deportees often became targets for exploitation or violence upon their return. Human rights organizations lobbied for TPS extensions for Nicaraguans. Despite challenges, Nicaraguan resilience remains a source of inspiration. Country number 6. Brazilian nationals experienced increased deportations during Trump's presidency. Many deportations involved visa overstays and individuals seeking asylum. Deportees often returned to Brazil's challenging political and economic climate. Family separations became a common consequence of deportation policies. Brazilian immigrants faced heightened scrutiny in the U.S. under stricter regulations. Deportations disrupted the lives of Brazilian students and skilled workers. Advocacy groups criticized the targeting of law-abiding Brazilian immigrants. Deportees faced significant challenges reintegrating into Brazilian society. Brazil's government expressed concerns over the treatment of its deported citizens. Many deportees struggled to adapt to Brazil's evolving job market. Deportations highlighted broader issues in the U.S. immigration system. Brazilian American communities faced uncertainty and fear due to stricter policies. Deportation often forced individuals to leave behind U.S.-born children. Legal challenges to deportation orders increased among Brazilian migrants. U.S.-Brazil relations were strained by immigration enforcement practices. Deportees frequently faced stigma and limited resources upon their return. Many deportees had built successful lives in the U.S. before being sent back. Family separations created emotional and financial hardships for affected individuals. Despite challenges, Brazilian immigrants remain an integral part of U.S. society. Calls for fairer and more humane immigration policies continue to grow. Country number 5. Haiti faced significant deportations despite ongoing crises in the country. Political instability and natural disasters have made Haiti highly vulnerable. Deportation flights to Haiti increased during Trump's presidency. Many deportees returned to unsafe and unstable living conditions. The 2010 earthquake and subsequent recovery efforts left the nation fragile. The Trump administration sought to end temporary protected status, TPS, for Haitians. Over 50,000 Haitians in the U.S. were at risk of losing their legal status. Deportees face stigma and limited opportunities upon return. Gang violence and political corruption created unsafe conditions for returnees. Deportation disrupted family units, particularly among Haitian American communities. Human rights groups criticized deportations to a country in crisis. Many deportees struggled to reintegrate into Haiti's weakened economy. Deportations often forced individuals to leave behind U.S.-born children. Advocacy groups lobbied for TPS extensions, but with limited success. Haiti's government struggled to absorb the influx of returnees. Deportees frequently became targets for exploitation or violence. Many Haitian migrants attempted dangerous sea crossings to escape again. The U.S.-Haiti relationship remains shaped by historical and modern challenges. Deportations highlighted the broader issue of migration policy shortcomings. Despite challenges, Haitian resilience continues to inspire communities globally. Country number 4. Honduras. Over 40,000 Hondurans were deported during Trump's presidency. Honduras is plagued by poverty, natural disasters, and gang violence. The Trump administration labeled migrants from Honduras as security threats. Migrant caravans from Honduras received widespread media attention. Deportees often returned to neighborhoods controlled by violent gangs. The asylum process for Hondurans became increasingly restrictive. Many deportees had sought safety in the U.S. but were denied. Families were often separated during deportation procedures. Children traveling alone faced significant challenges upon deportation. Humanitarian groups criticized the U.S. for ignoring root causes of migration. Many deportees had no access to jobs or housing upon return. Deportation policies disrupted education for many Honduran children. Advocacy groups highlighted the dangers faced by returnees. U.S. policy changes included cutting aid to Honduras during Trump's term. Deportees often risked migrating again despite stricter border enforcement. Honduras struggled to provide basic services to deported individuals. Violence and instability continued to push migration northward. Deportation flights became a symbol of U.S. immigration enforcement. Honduran communities in the U.S. rallied to support families affected by deportations. The cycle of migration shows no signs of slowing without significant policy changes. Country number 3. Mexico faced the highest number of deportations during Donald Trump's presidency. Over 267,000 Mexican nationals were deported in 2019 alone. Many Mexican immigrants moved to the U.S. for better economic opportunities. The U.S.-Mexico border became a focal point for stricter immigration enforcement. Policies like Remain in Mexico forced asylum seekers to stay in border cities. These border cities were often dangerous, with high crime rates and limited resources. Family separations at the border led to global criticism of U.S. policies. Mexican deportees often returned to unstable or unsafe conditions. ICE raids disproportionately targeted Mexican communities across the U.S. The construction of the border wall became a central symbol of Trump's policies. Human rights organizations criticized the lack of due process for deportees. Many deportees were unable to appeal their cases effectively. The Mexican government had to deal with reintegrating thousands of returnees. This influx strained local resources and social services in Mexico. Despite these challenges, Mexican communities showed resilience. Advocacy groups worked tirelessly to support affected families. Mexican culture and traditions remain a vital part of U.S. society. Deportations did not deter migration, as root causes were not addressed. Economic disparities and violence continue to push migration northward. The legacy of these policies still impacts U.S.-Mexico relations today. Country number 2. Guatemala ranked second in deportations, with over 50,000 people sent back. Many Guatemalans fled extreme poverty and gang violence. The Trump administration expedited deportations of Central Americans. Asylum seekers from Guatemala were often denied entry or detained. Critics argued that deporting people back to dangerous areas was inhumane. Many deportees faced the same threats they had escaped from. Gang violence remains a major issue in Guatemala, especially in urban areas. Children and families made up a significant portion of those deported. Deportation flights to Guatemala became routine under Trump. The country struggled to reintegrate returnees into local communities. Many deportees arrived with little money or support systems. Some were forced to leave behind families in the U.S. Deportation policies disrupted family units and long-term plans. Advocacy groups in Guatemala worked to support returning migrants. Corruption and instability in Guatemala made reintegration difficult. U.S. aid cuts to Guatemala worsened conditions for vulnerable populations. Deportees often face stigma upon their return. Economic opportunities remained scarce, fueling a cycle of migration. Many returnees attempted to migrate again despite the risks. The U.S.-Guatemala relationship continues to be shaped by migration issues. Country number 1. Indian nationals faced increased deportations under the Trump administration. Many deportations involved visa overstays, particularly H-1B visa holders. Trump's crackdown on legal immigration impacted highly skilled Indian workers. Indian students in the U.S. were also subject to deportation risks. Deportations disrupted family lives and long-term career plans. Some deportees returned to India after years of residing in the U.S. The Indian government raised concerns about the treatment of deported nationals. Deportees often struggled to adapt to India's changing economic landscape. Communities in the U.S. rallied to support those facing deportation. Advocacy groups criticized the targeting of law-abiding Indian immigrants. Deportation policies impacted Indian American families across multiple generations. Many Indians returned to job markets that were not prepared for them. Deportation strained the strong U.S.-India relationship. Legal challenges to deportation orders surged during this period. India became a top recipient of deportees from U.S. detention centers. Deportees faced challenges rebuilding their lives in India. Many were separated from children or spouses who remained in the U.S. U.S. immigration reforms created uncertainty for Indian immigrants. Despite setbacks, the Indian diaspora remains a vital part of U.S. society. Calls for more humane immigration policies continue to grow. Immigration policies during Donald Trump's presidency had a profound impact on millions of lives. From family separations to the termination of protective statuses, the consequences of these policies are still felt today. What are your thoughts on these deportations? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to stay updated on our latest videos. Together, let's continue to learn and discuss important issues shaping our world.